What up, y'all? In this video, I want to talk about why I believe, many modern women are not attracted to good men anymore, or at least not in the way that it used to look, right? Um, if you disagree with this, drop in the comment, but I'm gonna explain what I think. Uh, so, back in the day, you know, women have very strong fathers, right? Their fathers were, you know, there to be loving and also be strong, right? To provide them a sense of protection, like that there was somebody strong in the house that would help them if they needed it, right? And these men were like provided discipline for the women, right? So the women who are often very emotional, they felt like there was someone there that could contain their emotions, contain her emotions, right? Like, because that's really what women are searching for. They're searching for a man who can handle her emotions, who will not become too emotional in response to her emotions, but can stay flat and handle the problem, but do it in an empathetic way, of course. But and then on the other side, you know, women were taught not to go out and seek out dangerous, stimulating experiences, right? Because those dangerous, stimulating experiences, such as sex before marriage, smoking weed, starting arguments with people, like those various types of things, those things only build more emotional chaos in the woman, right? Which later makes it harder for a man to contain her emotions, to actually be able to handle her emotions, right? But I think the problem is that, these days, so I want to say, so what would happen is that these women would go out and, they felt safe. So because they had a father and a strong, loving father, and so safety was what they were attracted to, not danger and inconsistency, right? Because they weren't, overstimulated. They had a low amount. Their dopamine circuits were not shot and blown like many of the modern women who, have had multiple boyfriends, multiple partners. They've been in all these arguments that really, with their partners in conflict, that raise it like fries their dopamine circuits, because of all that stimulation. Now it's harder. I believe it's harder for them to be attracted to a man, right? But I think the problem is that today, these fathers are not containing these women. They're not making sure that the woman doesn't become arrogant, that the woman doesn't seek out these dangerous things, right? And due to multiple reasons, I think for one, when a woman doesn't feel safe at home, she will seek out dangerous, more dangerous or stimulating experiences in order to feel loved or to make up for it, right? And so these women are out, and not only that, but if nobody helps them, maybe they'll just do it out of curiosity. So they go out and have sex and build up this entire Instagram ego of arrogance, and because no one's keeping them unchecked. So essentially what happens is that they outgrow the ability for a man to even contain her emotions, right? The woman becomes so difficult, like to contain their emotions. Like you can't, so then they can't be attracted to a man anymore. Which is why there's dudes online that are like, yeah, if you want to get a girl, you have to knock down her ego. That's why dudes are doing this thing called negging, right? Where they're saying, giving negative advice to women or negative comments to knock down her ego to get with her. I feel like that never had to happen in the past. You could just go and just compliment a woman, because all of her negative emotion was associated with safety, right? For example, a spanking. If the father spanked the woman or his daughter, that was a negative emotion, right? But it was associated with safety, because he's doing that in order to protect her, to correct her behavior. But today's negative emotions in women, they are conditioned, where their negative emotions are associated with excitement, and danger. Oh my gosh, this is thrilling. Like, I could get pregnant from this guy, but we're gonna make sure that it doesn't happen. Like, it's their negative, their fear is now associated with excitement, like, rather than safety, right? So these days it's hard for a modern woman, I feel like, to be attracted to a good guy, or if they even are attracted to a good guy, it's typically not the same type of a masculinity. Maybe it's a guy who has good morals, but he's still very worldly, in the sense that he's not gonna help her on her journey. They're gonna have a bunch of sex, and then at some point, she's gonna be, they're probably gonna break up, and now she's, her emotions are even more chaotic, because she attached and then detached, and now she's desensitized because of all of those, lovey-dovey moments or whatever that just blew her dopamine circuits even more, desensitized them. Then essentially what happens is that her attraction becomes more and more related to thrill. It's about thrill rather than about safety and being grounded. Like actually dating a family man, like who is strong, but his strength is not related to providing thrill, but rather providing safety and discipline and morality and a plan in life, direction. And it only gets worse that many modern women actually consider it they consider it to be wrong to want to be protected by a man. They think in like some backwards way, where they're like they were like reverse engineer, where they're like, well, if I have to be protected by you, then that means that we're living in a world where men do bad things to women, and that's the only reason you need to protect me. So how about men just stop doing bad things, and you won't need to protect me? That's how they think. So they don't even want to be protected. They consider that that's just a sign that we live in a world where men do bad things, if that makes sense. Rather than actually think that maybe they would enjoy the feeling of being protected by a man, even if there was nobody left on earth, even if the world is safe, they still enjoy that feeling, right? So they move to a safe area, and then they think, oh well, I'll be safe on my own. But they don't understand that simply the feeling of being protected by a man, even if there is no danger, women like that, but a lot of the modern ones are trying to refuse that. They're refusing that fact that they'd like to be protected by a man just because it feels good, not even because they need it. That's how things really are, but they refuse that. But back in the day, the reward and excitement, was that the man kind of went into the woman's family and impressed her and her dad and all her siblings enough to get the woman out of her family to start a new one with you, the man. You know what I'm saying? That was kind of the excitement, right? But these modern women spend so much time in the world that they're literally numb. Like they can't even really feel men, because they spend so much time outside of that family bubble, right? Like, because how do I explain this? Like like I was saying earlier, like a woman needs to be contained within a family, right? Like that's the only way that she can feel attraction for men, right? Is that she can stay desensitized to the world, so that her senses actually activate when a man likes her. You know what I'm saying? And that she doesn't become addicted to danger. You know, she becomes desiring structure and feels good about that structure and wisdom rather than danger and just excitement. Does it make sense? Like I think that these days there's too many families where it's just like maybe it's comfortable to be around them, or you know, the kids are like friends with their parents after the age of like 14, and like the parents don't even like, it's not even like that there's any sense of toughness or anything like that. Of course parents should be loving, but I think if a woman's parents didn't actually provide her like actual protection from the world, like the parents need to make their home like a separate world, right? So that the woman is protected from the world, so that there's a clear difference. See, you know, for these women who kind of like, let's say they go to college and then they do all this partying and stuff, and then they kind of just go home from, you know, on winter break from school or whatever, and they stay with their parents, and you know, the parents say, oh, how's school? And they say, oh, it's good. And then, you know, they just kind of hang out there, and they just go right back to college and do the same dang thing. You know what I'm saying? There's no, it's like as if the fathers don't even ask themselves, maybe there's, you know, maybe I need to be more involved. Like maybe there's certain things that my daughter's doing that I should cut her tuition. I should literally tell her, you're not going to go to that school anymore. You're going home. You know, I'm not paying for your college anymore if you're going to be partying or meeting bad guys or whatever. Like, you know, don't, like, that's the reason why a lot of these women, modern women, aren't like dateable. They're not marryable, because their homes are just hangout places. It's like, you know, they go there for just comfort, but it's like the father is not involved enough. And it's just like, obviously, you know, women can lie, but yeah, it's just, you know, so this is why ultimately a lot of the modern women cannot handle like true masculinity, like like a man who's seeking wisdom, who you know, wants to mold her into something, like, because that's what like masculine energy does. It's like it has standards, you know. And a lot of these, you know, regular dudes these days, maybe they have a cool factor. That's their masculinity. It's like a cool factor, like, oh, dress up in streetwear, and you know, you look edgy or whatever. But that's just hollow, bro. I think, you know, then the girls feel comfortable around those type of guys, because those guys don't demand anything. They don't have any sort of fatherly presence. But the reality is that even young men should have a fatherly type of vibe, where like they're seeking wisdom. They want to, you know, help the woman be better, like, type of a thing. And yeah. So yeah, a lot of this just has to do with families, you know. The families of the daughters are just not, they're just not active enough. Like, they don't make sure, for one, they don't understand like the biblical order of things. Like, they don't, I mean, in the Bible, right, it says woman was made for man, not man for woman, right? For woman came out of man's rib, or was taken from, you know, Adam's rib and then made, right? So a lot of these women, and I can go on and on bunch of different things of why women don't like good men anymore, why they're not even really attracted to men at all, is because they're building up their own purpose. They're building up, they believe that their purpose as a young woman is to get men to lust after them. That's not what it said. It didn't say, for God created woman so that man can lust after her. It didn't say, for God created woman so that man can get triggered and go home and watch pornography because he saw her in a bikini on her Instagram. Like that's not what it said. It didn't say, for God created woman so that she can have 1,300 followers like on Instagram. It doesn't say that. It says, for God created woman, right, for a man. So a lot of these women, their sense of their mindset is out, it's disorderly. So how can they even be attracted to men if they don't even understand that the way that they were designed to be attracted to men? They were designed to be attracted to men from a order of submitting. You know, it just doesn't mean that he's controlling and abusing her or whatever, but they're supposed to submit and then look to his purpose, and also, you know, have their own purpose. There's nothing wrong with that, but they don't understand. They've built their purpose up so high that they can't even see what, you know, what they're supposed to feel. They're supposed to feel protected and led and think about how they can help their man be better and whatever not, but they don't understand that. And yeah, I really think a lot of modern dating, it's not our fault. It's not the men's fault. Like, I'm getting to the point where I'm like I really think that a lot of it is just the family. It's literally the woman's family. Like, you can't, it's like, even, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm gonna go to Asia to meet a woman, oh, I'm gonna go here, that, and the third. A lot of, like, you're not necessarily gonna find nothing better there. A lot of it is just, it's the family's fault, really. And you'll find good women, like, sometimes, right? But most of the time they have a good family. Their family is very protective. Even if she's like 22, 23 years old, the parents will say, be home before dark. You know, make sure you're home before dark. It doesn't matter her age. It's not like, oh, honey, you're 21 now, just come back at 6 a.m., spend the night at whoever's house, get drunk. Like, they're not like that. Because, like, I have a friend, and she's really good. Fortunately, she doesn't live near me, so we can't date. But she's 30, I think, now. And her parents still give her a curfew. She lives at home. Her parents still say, don't be out at night. Don't be hanging out with strangers. You cannot have guys over here. Like her parents are, she's like 30, but her parents are very protective over her. You know, and that's why she seems to be so good. That's why she seems to be sweet and actually attracted to good men. Right? See, that's why she has, I mean, part of it is her personality, but there's so many other things I could go on and on about. Like, you know, like, I think I've talked about before, like, women who have, like, I guess I call it high disgust sensitivity. I think that's a thing. Like that would be a sign that she has a good parents. Like, if she's, you know, nervous about you touching her, like a woman who has been raised well does not need to be touched physically for validation. Like, she will probably if a woman is a good woman, she'll actually be scared of you touching her. She'll probably, like, flinch or something if you try to touch her, or maybe, you know, something along those lines, right? Or she's not necessarily going to allow you to kiss her or whatever on the first try, or whatever, you know. And because they understand the difference between, you know, they understand what it's like to love and attach to their family. so they don't need to touch other people, and because that's kind of disgusting, to them, because they're still attached to their family, right? So they don't need to connect with other people. They will, but they'll do it slowly, and then slowly they'll transfer to connecting to a man, and then to be getting married to him and starting their own family. But initially, they're not like that. Like, just like, oh, I would just kiss anyone, oh, I would just do that, blah, 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 blah. Like, they're not like that. Like the girl I'm talking about who's 30, it's probably also part of her personality, but she just doesn't like, she's just very sensitive about that thing. Like she doesn't even want me to, like, I don't know, she doesn't want me to, even I tried to touch her shoes once, and like I picked them up, she didn't like it. I don't know. She's like, don't touch my things. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to articulate, but yeah, it's hard to articulate. But there's so much I could say here, and but yeah, a lot of the reason that we don't have good women, or the women are not attracted to us, is literally because of their family, because they were not protected and sheltered enough so that they went out into the world, got desensitized, they lost their desire for safety. Some of them want safety, but they want it on their own terms. They're like, I want to be able to sleep with as many guys as I want, and I still want to feel safe, while the good girls were protected, and they got their reward system from being protected, from being sheltered, from being loved and criticized. Their father, their mother criticizes them, but it's also love, right? But these new women, they don't understand that combination between criticism and love. You're going to criticize them because you want them to be better, but you're also going to love them. But yeah, all right. But we can do our best, and we can look for these women, while we can. All right, take care.